Welcome, everybody. James here from Conscious Creatives with the next episode of the podcast, Booked, Busy, Blessed. And I am here with Miss Hennessey. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you, James? So nice to see you
Have you
again.
back, reconnect. Yeah.
Very nice. It's been a minute, but it's been a long minute, like maybe like a 12, 14-month minute. But it's okay. I forgive you for that because I know that you've been, vibrating on high levels, brother. So I'm very grateful to be on this podcast of yours and sharing time and space again. So thank you, man.
I like hearing that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So here's my curiosity, right?
Yeah.
What bit of content have you recently connected with on Conscious Creative Instagram?
Bit of content. There was an interview, and forgive me for not getting the name right.
Right.
There was an interview that you had with somebody about, but it's probably, I don't know how long like you kind of do your interviews and like how you edit it, because I know with me I'll speak to somebody at the top of the month and then maybe edit it and then it's 3 weeks later, so forgive me for the timing as well. But you spoke, I don't know what she was, it was a lady that you spoke to, and I forget her name, I'm really sorry. We might have to go back and I'll have to give her name, but it was the vibe, and the conversation, and again, obviously, like with yourself, how you ask questions that the people that you're speaking to think that they're prepared for it.
Oh.
But they're not. And no, but not in a bad way. No, it's I think that's your talent. I think that's what you're blessed with. And
thank you.
yeah. And I remembered, I just sort of briefly watched it because I was like, oh, he's got something up. And it was just how you were able to bring out some bits of information from her. And it kind of made her think about things a little bit deeper and things a little bit more. And I feel that for a lot of creatives, especially for me, when you get to a certain place in your creativity journey, you're so used to going, yeah, I'm good, I'm just kind of connecting and I'm creating and I'm doing stuff, that when you really stop and pause, it makes you think a lot deeper, and you may have had the answer, but then when it's really time to answer it, you don't. Does that make sense? I don't know. Hopefully it makes sense.
No, I like it. I honor the experiment of the conversation in a sense, but I guess what I'm hearing is that you connected with an interview, and then how I've gone about my questioning and just actually getting those pieces through. Yeah,
absolutely, because I haven't done the deep dive with them, because I know that with all of your content and all of your interviews, you have this really special way of making people sort of stop in their process and really think about what it is that they're really creating and why it is they want to be creatives. And that's not an easy question for creatives to answer, because it's just something you're born with, right? That's how I feel.
Sure.
So if that's a way to answer that, I don't know, that may not be what you wanted, though. You can edit that shit out if you want, but this Miss Hennessey, raw and unfiltered. You want names, you want a job, you want a specific timeline, that ain't gonna be me. I am gonna give you how I felt that interview connected with me.
So as we honor that, right? My curiosity would be then, how are you currently experiencing your present moment and your sort of process of it? So we can't. So let's say we're looking at it and we're saying sometimes creatives and or other professionals have a moment of they're just doing it.
Yeah.
Right. Versus being quite present to the process of what they are creating, book, song, international tour, whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
How's your current sort of process of what are you actually creating at the moment that you're, obviously I honour the background, so Miss Hennessey and Miss Hennessey TV's, sitting there is a very evident conversational piece to me to go to. All right.
That's right. Look, I mean, creatively for me, look, you and I have known each other for a number of years. So, the creative space that I take up is obviously, hip hop, culture, music, journalism, club DJ, radio presenter, all of that good stuff, right? And I've been doing
House
that
of Brands, House of Brands.
That's it, right? But it's always fallen under that Miss Hennessey brand, the Miss Hennessey Speaks Entertainment brand, all of that stuff. So, that I've been doing that for, I think probably about 25 years now, right?
Right.
I guess, and you may have had this resonate with a lot of the other, creatives that you speak to on your journey. But I think post-COVID, so much changed for so many of us, right? I know, musicians lost their income. DJs, half my income gone within literally 2 hours for the year. They're done.
Right.
So the reinvention of then Miss Hennessey had to go from that sort of DJ aspect, because there were nowhere to go, nowhere to DJ. Obviously, everything went online. So I decided to kind of jump in on the YouTube interview sort of podcast bandwagon, I guess you'd say. I don't really like that word, but I'm using it just for reference sake. I've always had a bit of an aversion to getting involved in the internet in this fashion too much, because I'm not a person who, I don't, the interviews and the conversations that I have, as you know, James, I'm not about trash talking. I don't do the gossip stuff. It's all about that real connection, artist
I
journey.
agree. Yeah, well said.
Dancers, choreographers, academics, the whole deal, right, under that sort of hip hop umbrella.
As I experienced it,
yeah. So I had to take that kind of foray into the internet sort of YouTube world, and I've got to tell you, it's been a stretch, man. Like, for somebody who's used to print media, I'm also a published author, as you know. It's all about the written word for me, and it's always about the spoken word, right? So radio, that kind of stuff. This being sort of front and center with the screen, and being like one click away, and worrying about how many likes a person gets, like, that's changed my creative passage quite massively, if I can say. And it has been something I've sort of stepped to with much trepidation.
Right.
Yeah. So
Well, there's a
creative.
mindset transition, right? There's like literally like a mindset transition in that.
That's it.
Everyone like, what I experienced, and as you've shared, there's what did show up for Conscious at that time as well, was folks basically needing to go across the paradigm. So they had a mental architecture of what they were doing, and then it was that sense of like, okay, how are we going off into the unknown of how we're building our income and servicing our our community and whatnot over here now, but they had to find out what over here was. So there was that mindset sort of adjustment, that transition.
That's it. And it's a bit of a mind sort of, it kind of messes with you a bit, because I'm not a child of the internet. Obviously, I've been doing this for a number of years before the internet, before Facebook, before TikTok, before any of that, right? Print media, talking here, street press kind of level. So
right.
But you've obviously got to move with the times. So I had to really dig deep and go, well, this is where it's at. And I enjoy the art of the conversation, and I enjoy connecting with people and sharing their stories. So removing all of the, how many likes do you have? How many hits are you getting? Like, that's a whole other conversation that, again, has stretched me creatively, because now when you create, you're worrying about numbers, and it's something I never worried about before. So there's so many deep dives to it, right? But I've just had to strip it back and go, do what you're good at. And you're great at the art of conversation. You're great at interviewing people, and you're great at creating something out of nothing, because you've done it for so long. So just stick to your brand and be authentic. Authenticity means everything to me, and this brand is steeped in that. I
like that your foundations.
Yeah.
You go back into your foundations.
That's it. And I think that's the safe space too. I do like to I do have to come out of the comfort zone, and I know you're great at helping people with that, and probably even you can hear it in my, like, when I talk to you, there is, I feel I've gotten to a level where I've hit a ceiling, and I need to empower myself more to break through that ceiling, and I don't know what I don't have the tools to break through the ceiling, if that makes sense, which is
But
surprising.
so here's the curiosity on that now then. Speaking to that break the ceiling piece in the present moment, what is the current build, if you like? What is the current, even if it's just like the genesis of it, what is the current sort of people? I know a good term that a lot of US clients use is they have a scratch bar. So from scratch they're building something.
Yeah.
It's a term I picked up from them.
Okay. I like.
So there's that sense of like, I know I'm creating something out of nothing.
Yeah.
What is my scratch canvas? What is my, new build? Like what is my, where am I starting the blueprint on a new thing?
Right. So in terms of the scratch print from the ceiling that I'm hitting, or the scratch print from where I'm currently sat at to where I want to go.
Let's respect the ceiling. Talk from there.
Okay.
Good touch point.
Yeah. Okay. So I think for me, I've grown my brand organically, i.e., on my own, with no management, no social media structure, nothing like that. It's just all been me teaching myself how to do it. Learning, sort of stealing with the eye a little bit here, there, and everywhere. Influenced by influences, but not on that whole kind of. It's like the doing of the reels and like maybe putting myself out there in that way. My brand has always been who I am, but now that everything is so visual, having to put myself on the screen outside of the interview process is probably where that ceiling has been hit now, and it's heavy. Yeah, so it's confidence. No, I'm dope in that area. I'm cool with it, but it's also just the toxicity of the internet is what concerns me, because you watch so many, shows and people just being ripped to shreds just for the littlest thing. And I think because I'm so steeped on, honest conversation and that sort of authenticity thing, people love drama, James, right? And I don't produce dramatic interviews. I don't produce interviews that is going to elicit scandal and stuff like that. So, does wholesome and honest and authentic have a place in the internet? That's the question I ask myself, and that's the ceiling that I feel I'm sort of bobbing up against. I hope that makes sense.
I like hearing the values, but I also like being aware that it all starts with intention.
Yeah.
Like whatever you're going to be, most, if not all, obviously, of the conversations that I start right at the beginning. So you've come to Conscious Creatives for what you've come here for. What is your intention? What are you building? Like it's always either building something or there's a stuck moment in the current process of what is being built.
Yes.
So there's a song stuck moment. There's a book stuck moment. There's a new studio stuck moment.
Yeah.
Transition of the office stuck moment.
Yeah.
So there's always that sense of, pencil to a house to a trip. That size doesn't matter, like big or small. The universe is going, no problem, right? Yeah. But it's that sense of once we identify the bricks and mortar of what a person's putting together, and then I will always, in the creativity of it, I will say to them, let's say there is the ceiling, put a trapdoor in the ceiling. Just put a trapdoor there. Create yourself a manhole.
Yeah.
Now just pretend you got a ladder. Dude, just climb the ladder, jump through the manhole. I'm curious, what's up there for you? Yeah. Because it's your creating, like honoring the space. It's like I hear it and I go, but you've created your ceiling.
Yeah.
Because creatively it's come up that way. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like it's at a self-sabotage your own success, because that sort of inner voice, that inner critic, all that kind of stuff. I've been doing a lot of work, I think, in the last couple of years. I still DJ. I'm still active in that scene. I've been teaching now for the last 4 years as well. So I write hip hop theory for
beautiful
public school here in Western Sydney, and hired by them, for about the last 4 years. So I've gotten out of the corporate sector and into, teaching and education, and, teaching stuff like podcasting and radio skills and that sort of stuff, which has been such a fabulous set, it's like been a pivot for me for my career climb, because I didn't think I'd see myself as a teacher. So
Good pivot.
Yeah, it has been a massive one because I'm studying as well. I've started studying for my education degree. So it's so that has been great, but I find that it's also stifled the creativity. There's not enough hours in the day, right? So to take on a teaching degree plus teaching 3 days a week, got my kids, my boys, I'm raising them too, and their school needs, and then myself and my husband and all that kind of stuff, which I'm sure a lot of people can, all attest to. The creativity has really taken a bit of a hit. And so I've got a grasp on the Miss Hennessey TV brand, and I'm building it slowly, but sometimes I feel it's not building at the pace I'd like it to. But I'm torn between, yeah.
Hearing that, I respect the fact that the new builds will always start with studying.
Yeah.
It's a very consistent piece. Look, USA to here to Newfoundland to UK. It's always a piece of people will, and certainly current clients are, the shared idea is I actually need to land back into studying.
Yeah.
So, some sessions have become about teaching them how to study.
Yeah.
Right. And re-engaging the learner.
Yeah.
In that part of it versus the build part of it. But it's also acknowledging you're still building.
Yeah.
It's just changed content.
Yeah. That's it. That's it. And it's I think being a mature age student as well, like I'm in my 40s. I'm not, there's a whole life that I'm living on top of trying to add that huge component, which there's no other way for me to become a teacher, like a proper officiated teacher, other than doing, this degree. And I think for me, I'm a little bit impatient when it comes to that, because I'm like, I'm already doing it. So
I can relate.
Just hurry it up. Like, I ain't got time. You know what I mean? And my husband's like, you've got to do the right thing. Just do it. And you'll get there. So yeah. So that's kind of what's going on with me. I am building, and I am very concerned too about the appearance of relevance as well. I think within the world of creation, and especially within, I think, under that hip hop umbrella. Australia is such a small community.
Right.
And when you've been working and helping to shape this community for as long as I have, with a lot of other incredible people, at some stage you look up and you go, right, you feel like you haven't really moved much, but you have, but you still feel like you haven't. But I think because it's such a small community, and you got to sometimes, check in with yourself and go, well, is the content I'm creating still relevant? Do people want to hear this? Do they want to listen to intimate conversation with, artists that may not be maybe working as much, or artists that may be pivoting themselves? I'm about the story. I'm about the heart matters stuff. And I just, is there a place for that? So these are the questions that I plague myself with sometimes. Probably not a good thing for an anxious individual, but yeah.
But so as you check in, I'd like to really respectfully close on this too as well. A few evident core themes have come up in this conversation, and I'm curious, what would be one word for you for 2003 as you progress? What would be the one word or one phrase that you're sort of bannering, if you like?
I'm glad you've asked me that, because when the new year rolled in, I said my words for this year are accountability and acceptance. So
Beautiful.
Yeah, those would be my two words for this year. And I've already been I've already had them sort of hold me accountable, and I've had to accept shit. So yeah, we're on the right path with with those themes, brother.
Well, with those themes, I want to say thank you sincerely for your time.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for the conversation, and all positive thoughts through to 2023.
Thank you so much. And thanks for reaching out, man. It's a pleasure to talk to you.